For to just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
3, 2, 1.
Joe Hunk, John Abraham, Bailey Lowery, 256-576-4977. This is the Morning Blitz.
Oh boy, this one's about to be weird. Welcome in. Happy Monday to you. It's not really a happy Monday if you live in the state of Alabama.
Or in South, just the South in general.
Or the South in general for a lot of, I think literally the only group of people that are happy right now live in Athens and also live in Nashville. That's it.
Oh, come on.
That's
you
it.
say Nashville, but at the same time, a lot of people who live in Nashville are also Tennessee fans.
No, they are.
And of course, Tennessee losing to Arkansas made it a little bit better on Alabama fans. But at the same time, Joe, I mean, there was an absolute nuke dropped on the college football landscape. I mean, teams just dropping left and right. And if you got in on the wacky underdog picks, you're a happy camper. But if you are a fan of any of these teams and that outweighs the fun games that you play on these shows that you listen to, then you're probably chilling at home wondering what the hell went wrong on Saturday with your team. And we're going to definitely be looking at that Alabama loss to Vanderbilt. It was probably the weirdest, strangest loss that I've seen Alabama have in my entire life.
Well, and first off, if you don't know, it wasn't just Alabama that lost. The entire state of Alabama lost on Saturday. Okay, the entire state. There is not one single FBS team in the state of Alabama that came away with a win.
Really?
Not one.
Jeez.
And if you want to go FCS level, Alabama A&M lost and Alabama State lost. Troy lost. UAB lost. Alabama and Auburn lost.
South Alabama
lost. Everybody lost. There was not one single dub in the state of Alabama this weekend.
That's something. That's something.
I mean, it was ridiculous. And look, Alabama, let's just be straight about this. They got beat.
Yeah.
This isn't a Bo Wallace throwing one up and a ball bouncing on a helmet and in the air and a wide receiver catching it type crap. It wasn't Johnny Manziel rolling to his left after he fumbles the football and then throws it in the air and it's caught. Like, this was none of that.
Nope.
You got beat in every single way. You got beat in Nashville on Saturday.
Yeah, and it was tough. I mean, the offense was still able to churn a little bit once it was able to finally get on the field. But again, not a lot of time on possession. Of course, you saw the big number next to Vanderbilt, 42 minutes for them, whereas it was 18 minutes for Alabama. And of course, you know, this is still going to be the number one team in the conference or the league. They're able to throw it down the field. Thank God we have Ryan Williams because he's able to do his miraculous magical moves. But outside of that, the defensive side of the ball was the one that was struggling. And there's a lot of questions around, you know, the secondary, of course, coming off of that win against Georgia and then going up against Vanderbilt, a team that, was able to challenge a Mizzou team, but still didn't look like a team that would be able to go up against the best of the best. Remember, this is a Vanderbilt team, and yes, it is a new way of college football, but this is a Vanderbilt team that is 0-10 against number one ranked teams and 0-60 against top five ranked teams. So this is the type of history that we saw on Saturday, is they were able to get their first win in both of those categories, which is just absolutely mind-boggling. 23 games against Alabama it took them to win. It was almost a little bit like the Tennessee win just a few years ago.
It was. And at some point in time, streaks are going to end. I mean, at some point in time, Kentucky finally beat Florida.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there was the talk every single year. Oh, Florida hasn't lost to Kentucky in 30 years and all this. Like, it's going to happen. But this is where, like, Alabama fan, it needs to realize, like, you can't go in today as you're going into work and everybody has their head down. And there were probably a lot of people that weren't at church on Sunday because, yes, that happens in the state of Alabama. If your team loses, you don't go to church. You're just waking up going, I don't feel like putting up with old Dan over there on the third pew. He's just going to look at me and he's going to wear his Vanderbilt stuff. And I'm just going to want to look at him and punch him in the face. And I can't do that in the Lord's house. Like, that happens. Okay. But look, this is where you're saying it's not, I'm saying it's not luck, because Vandy only had to go for it one time on fourth down. they punt, and you, for some reason, can't realize that, oh, wait, we have 2 number 2s on the field. That shouldn't be the case. Like, you have that. Vanderbilt was 4 for 4 in the red zone. And here's the biggest one, okay? Because I know that Alabama didn't run a ton of plays. I get that. But you let Vanderbilt go 12 of 18 on third down.
And that's why they didn't
12 of 18 on third down.
That's why they didn't have to go too many times on the 4th down tries.
Yeah, that's really the key. Like, the key to the game right there is really just time of possession, not getting them away on third down. I mean, they almost tripled Alabama's time of possession. Yeah, 42 minutes to 17.
Look, and they came into this with a plan. They came into it, and the plan was, and Alabama fans don't want to hear this, but I'm telling you, there were 48 minutes of football. Actually, it wasn't even 48. It was like 60 minutes of football that was played on Saturday in that stadium. There was not 1 second of that where Vanderbilt was scared of Alabama.
Yeah.
There was not 1 second where Vanderbilt was scared of you.
There wasn't 1 second where they were trailing either.
No.
I mean, it was just right out the gates. Vanderbilt
you
was able
could
to get
see
in.
You could see that Vanderbilt was not looking at the uniform and going, oh, crap, that's Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that had happened in the past. We had seen where Alabama had went to Nashville and they were up by like 30 points in the first quarter because luckily they were wearing black uniforms and you couldn't really see the water going down their leg. I'm going to say it's water. Like, you couldn't see that. On Saturday, there was none of that. Yeah. There was no fear in this Vanderbilt team whatsoever when it came to them playing up against Alabama. And I don't think Bama is used to that. Especially under Nick Saban, they were not used to going into a venue, being the away team, and the home team not being a little bit nervous about who they were playing.
Yeah. And there were actually 2 Alabama teams that did end up winning. Thanks, Steve Moulton, as he loves to hop in on this stuff. And yes, I mean, I'm glad he did. Kennesaw State actually lost to Jacksonville State. I did see this one.
I apologize.
Register 63 to 24.
My bad to the Gamecocks.
Was the score in that game. Kennesaw State sucks, but that's not who we're talking about today.
My bad.
On top of that, Miles College won against Central State, Ohio.
Who there is a Sparkman alum that does play for Miles.
Really?
Yeah, remember? Because he came up to the studio.
Oh,
he came up to the press box. Really?
Yeah,
Lamar. Yes, he does. He played up there. His mom came up and hung out with us during the first game of the season when was back at home. Like, okay. So I apologize. There were 2 that won, and Jack State is in FBS, so that does count. Because I played some on College Football 25. Look, got me a dynasty rolling with those guys.
At the end of the day, whenever we see a team like Alabama lose to Vanderbilt, that means the whole state of Alabama ends up losing.
No, Vanderbilt. There's a lot of people in Alabama that won on Saturday, even though their team lost.
And on top of that, Auburn was able to at least kind of challenge the Bulldogs, but I mean,
they did.
It wasn't really that close a game in Athens again.
Georgia was never any threat.
Yeah, there was never a point in time where I was watching that game and going, "Oh, I think they may do it. I think Auburn may do this. They got it." No, I was more shocked up. Holy crap! Hugh Freeze? Did he just now see Jarquez Hunter? Did he not realize he's on the team? What?
It's like, wait a minute, they're running the ball.
What? There's this. What? They didn't turn it over at all?
He's running little 5-yard routes and actually getting catches. It was like, oh, wait a minute.
I was so proud. They remembered that he was still on the team and in uniform.
And that's why it wasn't a blowout, everybody.
But real quick, while it is like a Madhouse Monday, biggest surprise takeaway from the weekend, besides Alabama Vanderbilt,
bro.
Because I will say this for me, Missouri Texas A&M. I did not expect
A&M dominated them from the opening kickoff.
I thought it would be like a little bit of a closer game. I didn't expect just pure domination from the Aggies.
That was opening kickoff. A&M owned Missouri the entire time. Yeah. And I think that's another crazy thing about the Vanderbilt win against Alabama is because a lot of times you will go into these situations where a Vanderbilt team comes back home after playing Mizzou, losing in overtime, feeling that they should have won. Mm-hmm. And then they come out and they just lay an egg the next game because they're still upset about the loss. Yeah. Instead, Vanderbilt came out thinking, dude, we should have won this game. And they took it out on Alabama, and Missouri was like, God, we should have lost that game. We should have lost to Vanderbilt. And then they get dominated. Like, it was a total 180 of what it should be in this scenario. And Vanderbilt, even though they lost to Missouri, just came out looking like the better team.
Yeah.
It was crazy how that happened.
There's some
in
good,
wrestling, we call that the double switch.
Yeah, there's some good and there's some bad.
It's a double turn on
to
that.
take away from this Alabama game, and we will be getting into it with Cody Goodwin from Bama 247. But right after that, that's the conversation you guys can hop in on 256-5764.
97.7
is that number to get in. But you look at the AP poll right now, and teams are just getting thrown left and right. And when you think about, the SEC and where they were just weeks ago, you thought about the dominance that was being had. Okay, there were 4 in the top 5, and then that slowly started trickling down. Now we see Texas at number 1, Georgia at number 5, and then they're surrounded by some ACC, some Big Ten teams. And honestly, Miami probably shouldn't be right there, because that was the biggest surprise for me. Miami coming back against Cal in Cal. At late at night.
You don't like Miami. I get it. It's your conference to lose, but don't take it literally.
No, I'm telling you, this is going to be the one thing that I'm actually surprised about. Is I want to see how these East Coast teams handle a kickoff like they're having to handle. Because look, college game day, it's going to come on at 8 a.m. no matter in Central Time Zone, no matter where they're at. If they're in Russia, it's still coming on at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Like it's going to. And so you had fans that were waking up for this Cal Miami game, and they were there at 6 a.m., actually way earlier than that. And then once game day wrapped up, which it wrapped up at 9 o'clock over there, they then still had 12 hours until like kickoff. Like it was ridiculous at how late this game actually kicked off. And for Miami, they're going across the country and they're having to kind of get used to this, because look, I know that people are going to say, oh, well, you're going across the country. Those first night or two that you're going across, when it starts hitting 9 o'clock, you're going, all right, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm going to need they probably like had to take a nap at like 2 o'clock so that they were wide awake. Kind of like what you did when you go to the clubs.
Yep.
You're like, you know what? Let me get a little pregame nap in real fast. And you wake up at 7.
Because like you were with me whenever I went up to Johnsonville, Johnson City.
You act like I never went to the club.
Come on now. You got to come up to Johnson City with me and John. We'll have some fun. Either way, we should probably bite the bullet and hop into the phone lines real quick.
Yes.
Because we have Jeff from the borough. Jeff, how are you doing today, big man?
Well, I'm doing wonderful, because I talked to my editor Saturday night, and I said, what do you think of the Vanderbilt Alabama game? He said, I love it. He said, it's the only thing that'll make my weekend is Tennessee lost, and they did too.
Yes, sir.
Vanderbilt won and Tennessee lost, and it made my weekend. You know what I love? I was thinking about Drew DeArmond the whole time in the fourth quarter that game was going on. I said, Drew, how about them? How about them? Alabama comes down. How's your first grade receiver doing? Is it number 2, y'all? First grader giant receiver. How did he do Saturday?
He did pop off, but
he actually did pretty well.
Other than that, the defense.
He did well losing, I can tell you that. And what about Malachi Moore's situation? I wonder if Big Saban was going to still be on the team today.
No, look, I'll tell you right now, Malachi Moore needs to be suspended. He needs to be suspended for the way that he acted.
No, he will not be. He will not be. He will not be suspended.
No, that is a conversation to be had, though, about Malachi Moore and the way that he acted at the end of that. Because it's one thing to get annoyed and be kind of pissed off for like a play or two, but the amount of time that he was pissed off for got to the point where it's like, come on, man. Well, we understand you're upset.
Look, in the whole idea of not only being upset, swinging your arms, getting like, hey, I get it, man. You're emotional. You're pissed off. That's cool. But then to like walk up as the referee is trying to separate the lines of scrimmage and then just kick the football. Like right in front of the referee.
He's trying to spot the ball and he kicks it.
Yeah, like look, no, you don't do that. And I don't care if it's South Carolina this weekend. Like he needs to be suspended for at least 1 game for the way that he acted that way. Because
I say about 4 or 5 games, don't you?
I don't know. I don't know about 4 or 5.
Take it easy.
Well,
he needs
because you don't want to get real discipline out. You just want like I said, it'd be a half for you.
Well, again, I mean, a game's enough for. I mean, he didn't hurt anybody. It was just a pointless action. Like there was no reason for him to do that.
He slammed the quarterback to the turf.
He did push his head into the ground, and there are a few things to definitely look at with that. Appreciate you calling in, Jeff.
Yeah,
okay, appreciate it. And Double D, how about them Tides? Roll, Tide, roll.
Look,
good stuff.
Look, and that's something we do need to get into later, because the way not Malachi Dupree, but with the way that Malachi Moore acted at the very end of that game, he needs to be benched.
Yeah,
and I mean, and I say 1 game just because you did a lot of dumb things that you need to step back and you need to understand that those things have penalties. You do that against Tennessee next week, or you do that against Georgia when y'all play again, you could cost yourself the game. This game was already over.
Yeah.
But you don't do some of this stuff.
I definitely agree with you guys. Even Jeff made a good point there, but we probably wouldn't see him getting suspended 4 games. That's a little much, all right? That's like a majority of the season, but we can talk a little bit more about it later because we got to
hop into a DUI or anything like he's a bulldog. But no, yes, we do need to get into a break.
More felons and penalties.
Yeah, we need to go in and let's talk a little bit more about this Alabama game because Cody Goodwin's going to be joining us from 24/7 when we come back as we continue to talk Alabama losing to Vanderbilt on Saturday on the Morning Blitz.
You don't have to rub it in. Come on.
Rich Eisen here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Join us all season long as we get you ready for primetime NFL action every Monday night. Along with Kevin Harlan, Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, and the entire Westwood One team will take you inside the locker rooms and the stadiums for exclusive previews and all the play-by-play action. Every week on Monday Night Football.
Right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Take it to the house this football season with the Alabama Manufactured Housing Association. If Alabama or Auburn returns their first received kickoff in the second half for a touchdown at a home SEC game, one lucky fan will win up to a $75,000 down payment towards the purchase of a manufactured home from an authorized AMHA dealer. Don't miss your chance to take it to the house this season and win a beautiful manufactured home. Register to win today at auburntigers.com/takeittothehouse or rolltide.com/takeittothehouse. Certain terms and conditions may apply. To learn more, visit alamha.org. Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Yeah. Hey, I remember syrup sandwiches and crime allowances, finessing on them with some counterfeits, but now I'm counting this. Parmesan with my accountant lips. In fact, I'm down in this.
Morning Blitz continues, not just on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, but also ESPN Winchester. And every single day that we do so courtesy of Fleming Roofing and Restoration, and thanks to them.
The guys that you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you check them out online at FlemingHSV.com to fill out your free quote today. And remember that Fleming always shows up, unlike Alabama's defense sometimes.
Well, I mean, look, when you only play like 50 snaps in a football game, or however many snaps it was on the offense,
your defense is going to get tired to get a little bit beat up. And honestly, that's exactly what we saw. Is to help us kind of talk a little bit more about this whole I don't even know what to call it.
It was a win by Vanderbilt.
It was a win by Vanderbilt.
It was a win.
That's all it was.
And they did everything right.
And Cody Goodwin from Bama 247 is going to help us kind of break this down as well and see where Alabama's future lies moving forward, because we're not out of the top 10 yet. Cody, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, guys. Still trying to, I think like the rest of us, trying to figure out what in the world happened on Saturday. I think we have a better idea now. I rewatched the game yesterday, so I guess I picked up on a few extra clues from the broadcast, but nice. I don't know. How are you guys dealing with it?
Cody, I don't think you got the memo, because you came on way too chipper to be somebody that covers Alabama right now, and I think Alabama fans right now wants this to sound like it's a funeral, okay? So, I mean, just letting you know that you're way too chipper. I love it.
I like it because he's making me feel better about my team.
But I'm listening to you, and I was like, wait, he's way too excited about this. And there's Alabama fans probably listening going, why is he so happy right now? What is his problem? No, seriously. Okay, you said you rewatched it. What did you notice the second go-round that obviously, when you're there and in the situation, that it was a little bit harder to see?
Yeah, I think you got to give Vanderbilt credit, right? Like this was not a fluke. They went out and they won this game. I think there were a lot of people that during the actual rewatch or during the initial watch that maybe thought that they kind of bullied Alabama and maybe overpowered them and controlled the line of scrimmage and this and that. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, but what I will say about Vanderbilt is, they run that pistol option offense, right? And they use a lot of window dressing and pre-snap motion and misdirection, and they really kind of leave it up to the quarterback to make the right decisions. And you got to give Diego Pavia credit, man. Like, he made virtually every right decision, or at least the vast majority of decisions were the right one on Saturday. And, it's not like they were doing anything special. They were just trying to, move the ball and find yards and find first downs. And they did that over and over and over again. And I'll say this, their opening script I thought was really, really well done. They moved the ball right down the field. They knew where the weak spots were. They knew where the space in the defense was. And then they got a little bit of a gift with the, deflected pass that they returned for an interception. And, a team like Vanderbilt, when you get up 13-0 and you're up 2 possessions and you don't have to worry about trying to climb back into the game against a team like Alabama, that's when you can start playing ball control. That's when you can start milking the clock a lot. Like you guys were talking about time of possession. Vanderbilt held the ball for more than 42 minutes. They routinely snapped the ball with less than 10 seconds, oftentimes less than 5 seconds left on the play clock every single time. And when you're consistently moving the ball and you're consistently chewing up clock, it doesn't really leave a lot of opportunity for Alabama to get on the field and do what they do. The best way to keep an explosive offense in check is to basically keep the guys off the field. Yep. And that's what Vanderbilt did. And it forced Alabama in the second half to play basically perfect. And the couple of opportunities that they had to, take the lead in the second half, they weren't able to do it. A penalty on that big play to Jeremy Bernard, and then, Elijah Pritchett gets beat and Milroe gets sacked, fumbles the ball away. So, hey, give Vanderbilt a little bit of credit, man. This is not your grandfather's Vanderbilt. Still a stunning result. But hey, they went out and they won the game and they played their game, and it was a pretty impressive result for Vanderbilt.
I mean, it's not even like your older brother's Vanderbilt. This is different than what we've seen like the last 2 or 3 years.
That's why it is the grandfathers.
But the other thing that we don't really see a lot, and we haven't seen a lot from Alabama, are mental mistakes. Like, the 2 number 2s on the field at the same times, and the Malachi Moore stuff's a totally different conversation, but there looked to be like a lot more mental mistakes than what we were used to. Was that the case when you went back and looked at the second go around?
Yeah, man, very sloppy, very undisciplined. You look at the penalties that Alabama committed in this game, the illegal numbering, right, with the 2 players, Ryan Williams and Xavier Brown. Like that's a simple miscommunication thing, but it was a big result, right? They had finally gotten a stop on third down and they were going to get the ball back, but the illegal numbering gave Vanderbilt a free first down, and they ultimately cashed in on a touchdown, right? The roughing the passer call, you may disagree with the call. I think I even still disagree with the call, but that's a simple undisciplined thing. Even after the quarterback releases the ball, you can't throw your hands up and put the hands on the helmet, right? Like that's going to get called more often than not. That drive led to a touchdown. The illegal forward pass from Milroe, like you got to know where you're at. Just little simple sloppy things that erased a very big important play, I thought, for Alabama. Just little things here and there. They also, they didn't tackle very well in this game. I think 9 total missed tackles. And, a lot of that was the guys that traditionally play the run, right? Jahad Campbell, Deontay Lawson, Quay Russaw, Jamarian Latham, Tim Keenan, like guys that routinely put ball carriers on the ground, just didn't do it. Part of that obviously was a lot of the misdirection and the window dressing and the pre-snap motion that Vanderbilt uses. I'm sure that, I think that the defense now plays a lot more vision-based coverage as opposed to Nick Saban's pattern match. And I think Vanderbilt was able to take advantage of that with a lot of their window dressing and pre-snap motion. They ran pre-snap motion on more than 60% of their offensive plays on Saturday. Jeez. And that really messed with Alabama. Like that just, in addition to the sloppy, undisciplined play, they were just oftentimes just a little bit out of position. And Vanderbilt, again, they didn't do anything fancy. They were just finding yards here and there. Like a lot of their third downs, their conversions, when Vanderbilt had 3rd and long, which is 3rd and 9 or longer, 0 for 3. Their average distance to convert on third down was less than 7 yards. And they went 12 for 15 on 3rd and medium or shorter. Like they were just, they were just finding yards and finding first downs and just doing these little things over and over and over again. It was kind of wild to see Alabama just routinely. It's not like they got, I think the opening script in the pick six were 2 punches in the face, I think, to Alabama. after that, it was like death by 1,000 paper cuts. It was just little thing after little thing after little thing, and it all piled up.
Yeah. Good stuff. Cody Goodwin from Bama 247 talking a little bit more about that Alabama-Vanderbilt matchup. And it looked like this offense was still churning the way that they're used to churning. The defense was the side of the ball that kind of was getting just beat up, a little bit tired. Of course, we saw a lot of those big gains on just routine plays that you wouldn't expect from a Vanderbilt team going up against one of the top defenses, I would say in parentheses, top defenses in the SEC. Talk a little bit about what Coach Kalen DeBoer has kind of been talking about over in Tuscaloosa, trying to, make sense of this whole thing and look forward to, of course, South Carolina next week.
Yeah, I think some of the sloppy and undisciplined play is fixable, right? And he said that, like some of the things that Vanderbilt was doing to get Alabama out of position, like that's just discipline. That's just understanding your keys and just being in the right spot. And again, give Vanderbilt a little bit of credit, right? Like they drew up, had a really good game plan, right? But I like the illegal substitution penalty, like that's fixable. Some of these penalties, roughing the passer, Malachi's probably a separate conversation, but the face mask on Jahad Campbell, Milroe knowing where he's at when he lets the ball go. A lot of that's just like simple, fixable stuff. Elijah Pritchett giving up the sack in the fourth quarter, like you can't do that. You can't get overextended in the way that he did, which allowed basically a free rusher. And Milroe was looking the other direction, so he didn't even see him coming, right? So that's little technical things that I think are fixable. But obviously he was frustrated with the loss. He was frustrated with the way that everybody was more or less playing, and so he didn't seem to. I don't want to say beat up because you could tell he was frustrated post game, but I think he understood that, hey, even though this is a pretty stunning loss and the perception of this loss, I think, is going to linger for quite a bit. Everything is still in front of this Alabama team, right? You mentioned at the top, they didn't even drop out of the top 10 in the rankings, right? It's only one loss. It's an SEC loss, so that could play a role in how the SEC gets decided down the stretch. But there's still opportunities for big wins on Alabama's schedule. There's still, one loss doesn't necessarily put their season on the brink in a 12-team playoff in the same way that last year's loss to Texas did in a 4-team playoff. And we ultimately saw what they did last year, right? They walked that tightrope, won the SEC championship, and got to the playoff. That opportunity is still in front of this Alabama team. So, while the loss was not a fluke, I don't know that it's the end of the world. I'm sure you guys have windows in your studio. If you look outside, the sky did not fall. We're 2 days removed.
I think you're talking
still in front of the
I think you're talking to the one show in America that doesn't actually have windows,
You'd be
but
surprised.
but we have a hole in the ceiling that allows us to see the vent that goes through the roof that lets us see the sun. So, kind of.
So, and maybe guys, that's why I'm a little. I don't know if chipper's the right word, but like I'm a little. I'm still optimistic about what Alabama can accomplish this season. Like again, the season's not over. It's not do or die. There's still a lot in front of this team that they can accomplish, and they proved last week against Georgia, right, that they're more than good enough and talented enough to go and accomplish those goals.
Yeah,
so tough loss. But hey, they can still do the thing.
Yeah, I'm about to say, kind of like with that, does it really feel like a weight's been lifted in a way? Because after the win from Georgia, I mean, going into it 4-0, kind of expecting now to maybe go undefeated throughout the rest of the regular season. Now, just having that one in the loss column, just like a little bit of pressure has been lifted from this Alabama team.
Potentially, I think that's what's going to make this week really interesting, right? We're going to get to talk to Caleb DeBoer and the coordinators today, so we'll, gain a little bit more insight into what maybe they saw on their own rewatch, right? They're smarter football people than me, but I think just getting the vibe of the coaches, of the players, and what is it going to be like this week, and ultimately how they respond on Saturday against South Carolina, a team that again, it's another team that they should beat. It's another team that may present a couple of interesting matchup problems here and there, but I think they opened as multiple possession favorites. It's a game at home that they should win, a game that they need to win. And how they respond, I think, is going to be really, really interesting this week, and especially on Saturday at 11 a.m. So I don't know if a weight's been lifted, so to speak, but I think their response will tell us a lot about how they feel moving forward.
And Cody, before we let you go, I was curious because you're around a lot of these guys all the time, and especially leading up into this, a lot of times we see something. We're like, you know what? I kind of started seeing some stuff this week that was just kind of, wait a second, this doesn't look good, but it's Alabama, so I'm not really going to worry about it. Was there ever an indication that something like this was going to take place where you win a big ball game and then you go up to Nashville and do this, because normally, and I know historically, Alabama teams don't do this. Like, what led to this happening on Saturday?
I don't know if it was anything like around the team per se, but I will say, like, there were a couple of clues in the first few games that, let's keep an eye on this, right? Because you got to think, historically, Alabama struggles with quarterbacks that are mobile, that can create out of structure, and that is Diego Pavia's bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is what he does. He's a guy that makes and takes risky decisions, and more often than not, they pay off, right? Like, he was the quarterback of the New Mexico State team that walked into Jordan-Hare and beat Auburn. I'm sure you guys have talked about that last year. So there's that element to it. You remember the South Florida game when Byron Brown ran down Alabama's throat quite a bit, like he had over 100 rushing yards. So, okay, what's the rush defense look like? The secondary against Georgia fell apart in the second half. Part of that is because Carson Beck's a really good quarterback, but okay, like, that's the inexperience and the newness of the secondary kind of revealed itself during that game. And then in this game against Vanderbilt, everything kind of came to a head, right? You had a quarterback that was mobile, that was not afraid to run, that can create out of structure. You had a run defense that, maybe needs to probably be a little bit better if this Alabama team wants to go where it wants to go this season. And then you had an inexperienced secondary that got beat on the few plays that they could not get beat on. So it was, in that sense, it was kind of the perfect storm. Still surprised, I think, at the result, but when you sit back and you look at it and kind of take all the pieces into account, I think I don't know that we could have predicted this, so to speak, but if they played 10 times, this was the one result that Vanderbilt would have been able to get the win, and they did. They played more or less the perfect game that they needed to play in order to beat Alabama, and hey, give them their props. They earned it.
And real quick, I got one more question for you. Heisman rankings, this is a huge thing that's going on. Of course, there's been a lot of shift in that. When it comes to this Alabama team, who personally do you think is the best player on this team, or at least the player with the highest shot to maybe get that Heisman? And I know Jalen Milroe's probably there, but I mean, between him and Ryan Williams, who do you think is impacting this team a little bit more?
It's got to be Milroe, right? Like, he touches the ball on every single play. He, just as the quarterback, the offense flows through him. I love Ryan Williams. He is as magical a player as I think I've ever seen at the collegiate level. Did you guys know that he's only 17 years old?
What?
Whoa! Now, this guy's a 17-year-old.
Where'd my childhood go, man? Sheesh.
Absolutely crazy, right? No,
that's something you need to say more. I've never heard that.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't think we're talking enough about that. But no, he's a fantastic playmaker. I think more and more we're starting to, I think we're wondering at Bama 247, like, where is this Alabama offense without Ryan Williams, which is maybe a scary proposition, but he's been that good through the first few games. Yeah. Maybe he received some Bolitnikoff votes. I'm not sure quite about Heisman, but I do think Milroe's absolutely still in the thick of it, even after a loss like this. Like, I don't know that I would put this loss at all on the offense, maybe a little bit here and there just because of the missed opportunities in the second half. But hey, Milroe still threw for 300 yards, back-to-back 300-yard passing games for the first time in his collegiate career. The guy is playing very, very well this season. And I don't know that he's eliminated from the Heisman race because of this result.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't eliminate him. He's still on that high horse. But again, you look at other guys like Cam Ward who are struggling, and they are still up there as well. So definitely intriguing. It's going to come down to the wire. But Cody, appreciate you hopping on as always.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Let us know where we can find you on socials and online.
Yeah, man, Bama 247. We're part of the 247 Sports Network. And, I know I talked to you guys a lot during the men's basketball team run last March and April, but we're doing the same damn thing with football as well. So it's going to be an interesting week, and as far as we can tell, it's going to continue to be a very interesting season, especially coming up this month with some really big games. So come along and enjoy the ride with us.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Thanks
about
for that, Cody.
Good stuff. We'll get you on soon enough.
Absolutely. Appreciate the time, guys.
No problem. That was Cody Goodwin of Bama 247 Sports. You can follow him on X at Cody Goodwin. And obviously he joined us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. So now we open the phone lines back up to you. Alabama, Vandy, Auburn losing to Georgia. I would also like to apologize because UNA actually also won this week. So I'm never trusting the internet again when it comes to stats.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think I saw that same picture you did.
How could you ever bet against the state?
Because
Well, we can't bet against the state because we can't bet.
It's already too well.
You can just go to that Shell Mart I keep telling you guys about. Just go to that Shell Mart.
You get a bookie down the road too. I mean, why not? Either way.
We'll continue when we come back on the Morning Blitz.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Mark and Henry McDaniel, attorneys at law, are proud alumni of Madison Academy, and Madison Academy is proud of them. They have served our community through their practice, through volunteerism and service on national, state, and local boards. They explain the complexity of critical court rulings on local media. Their successful practice has been built on integrity. Both are veterans of MA Athletics and proud sponsors of Mustang football. McDaniel and McDaniel, attorneys at law. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by the lawyer.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Listen to the Woody Anderson Ford Scoreboard Show, powered by Lake Gunnersville Ace Hardware. Each Friday night with Scott Tyson on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Yeah. Did you say Roll Tide?
No.
Like, okay.
No, there's not a lot of people saying that this
morning.
No. Bull crap.
No, you stand over to the side right now.
Look,
all right?
we got Jeff to say it.
What? No, we did say it, and I'm 1,000% sure he said that as a true, like, illegitimate way. It wasn't sarcastic at all. Yeah, it was not grump. I mean, that is not.
No, yeah.
But before we get all to that, let's go back to the phone lines as we continue on the Morning Blitz. 256-5764
97.7.
Grumpy, welcome in, man. How's it going?
Hey, pretty good. Hey, I've got some honeybees at my place up in Tennessee, and I went to the Alabama Honeybee Festival.
Okay.
Sunday at Alabama A&M, some land they own out in Hazel Green. I did not see one. There was 3,000 people there. I didn't see an Alabama hat. I didn't see an Alabama shirt. I was looking.
I'm telling you.
And listen, you were saying that maybe I realized you were segueing into a lot of Alabama teams lost the state of Alabama, but there were people out there slapping high fives with Tennessee hats on and Auburn hats and saying anchor down, and the other guy would say anchor down. I would say 49% of the state of Alabama was happy yesterday.
Oh, no, yeah.
Doubt.
That's that's why at the beginning of the show, I said, no, look, even if your team lost, a lot of people in the state of Alabama won on Saturday.
Dude, 60% of the country is happy that Alabama lost.
Oh, yeah. And then, hey, that last guy you had on, he does a great job every week, but I think he is an example of looking through crimson glasses. He said bad tackling, he used these terms, bad tackling, technical problems, and small details. And then he went into a narrative of a complete ass whipping. But one thing, he described all these small things, and then he took a breath and described every aspect of the game. Alabama got beat. And listen, Alabama fans are stewards of the game. They know the game backwards and forwards. And what I think Alabama fans are worried about is they believe what they saw. They believe what they saw. That guy said that Alabama would beat Vandy 9 out of 10 times. He said that just a minute ago.
Yep.
No, they wouldn't. If they played the game again tomorrow, Vandy would win again tomorrow. And that is why Alabama fans are worried. They saw it with their own eyes.
Yeah, no, Grumpy, I'm kind of with you on some of what you're saying. Whenever you put up 40 points on an Alabama team, it's usually not a recipe for success. Alabama's lost the last 2 games where a team's put up 40 points. The Tennessee matchup, and then a year before that, it was that Texas A&M one. So
let me ask you a question, and I'll let you go. Yeah. What did you see in that game that leads you to believe that Alabama could beat Vandy if they played again? Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you, Grumpy. I think the offense, the way that they were still able to get down the field and churn, I think the one thing is the defense was caught sleeping a little bit. And I think this is actually, I don't think it's a good thing in the way where Bandy said it. It was like, this is going to be like a weight off of their shoulder. Alabama wanted to go undefeated. The thing is, that Georgia game left them with so much swagger, so much hype that they came into this game feeling a little bit better than I think Vanderbilt. And I think that kind of got them beat at the end of the day. And I think that you look forward, and I don't think this Alabama team is going to be feeling that same type of way where Jalen Milroe's dancing in the end zone when he should be worrying about scoring 2 more points to try and get the lead against that Vandy team.
Okay, so let me ask this question, and I'm only asking. I'm not assuming or trying to put a little bug in somebody's ear. Is the answer for a lot of Alabama fans to what Grumpy asked the question to? Is the answer to that is because we've seen it before? I say it because I think that this is where we have to remind ourselves that this isn't the Nick Saban Alabama anymore. Not that it's a bad team, not that it is a very different team, but just in everything that we assume for Alabama is because we have seen it happen over and over again since 2007. And that's the reason I asked this question, is because what he is asking is, look, Vanderbilt beat Alabama in every way. They out-schemed them. They outplanned them. They outplayed them. They didn't out-hit them because Alabama was laying the wood in some hits, but Vanderbilt wasn't afraid of Alabama at any point in time. So that's why I say is the answer to his question is because we see teams like this with Alabama go, you know what? If we played this again, which has happened, we would beat them by 30 because that's what Alabama's done in the past, but that's been over Nick Saban. Yeah. The thing about the difference in this, and I think that where a lot of Alabama fans go back to this, Kalen DeBoer had an amazing career at Washington. He's had an amazing career coming up, but at the same time, this is still Alabama and there's an expectation. And now, because you've been in this scenario of Nick Saban being your head coach since 2007, that when something like this happens, you go, well, this never would have happened under Nick. No, it wouldn't have happened under Nick, because what would have happened normally under this would have been either you would have gotten one of these press conferences like we're about to get from DeBoer here in just a little bit, where Nick Saban goes off because he's got to get his players focused because they haven't been focused at practice because they're smelling their own crap and they believe that they're so that is where I go, okay, let's genuinely step back and think about this. This is not the same Alabama team. It's coached differently. And I think that this is also a wake-up call for DeBoer, because he's never been in this situation.
No, yeah.
You are seriously losing to a team, in a Vanderbilt team, that, look, I'm ecstatic for Clark Lee. Not because I love Auburn, not because I love Tennessee, none of that. I'm ecstatic for Clark Lee because I've been around him. I've seen what type of person he is. I see his heart in the way that he wants his Vanderbilt program to be good. He's played there. He wants it to be great.
Yep.
And now that they've actually started to kind of dive into the NIL world, they're thinking, wait a second, we can be successful. Again, the part that blows me away on this is that when you had Vanderbilt step on the field with Alabama, Vanderbilt was not scared. And that has not happened in a very long time. And there are very few Vanderbilt teams that we can look at and say, you could see it in their eyes. They were not terrified of you.
No.
And that hasn't happened to Alabama, not for your Georgias or your Tennessees, but to your Vanderbilts and your South Carolinas and your Missouris or your Kentuckys. Like, I'm not talking about that top tier SEC team. I'm talking about those middle tier ones that now get on the field and be like, all right, let's go.
Yep.
Whereas used to, it's oh crap, here's Alabama.
Yep.
That didn't happen on Saturday. They were hype. Go back and watch that pick six. Go back and look. It wasn't one of those, oh my God, I can't believe we got a pick six and that we're up. It's more of a darn right we got that pick six. They're in our house now.
Yeah. It's like you got a preview of what that Vanderbilt program can look like under peak conditions. Like they are playing at 100%. They are playing to the best of their ability. That team that played Alabama on Saturday can beat a lot of other teams in the SEC.
And that's the crazy thing is
it can be scary.
They're probably going to end up winning a few and then losing a few.
Yeah.
That's just the way that it's going to go. This team came in 2-2 on the season.
Like if you are able to stop them on third down, if you don't allow them to kind of just slow burn the field in a way to where they're chewing off essentially half the time off of a quarter in a single possession, like they're going to have trouble.
This isn't like we're not sitting in saying that Vanderbilt is about to go and win 10 football.
That's an overreaction.
Not on that, but
they still have to play Texas. They still have to go to LSU. They still have to play Tennessee. And so those are wins. They have Kentucky this weekend. Like I'm not saying that this Vanderbilt team is going to win 10 games and they're going to have to sit and we have to go, you know what? This team actually may deserve an opportunity to play off. No, we're not talking about that. But in the standards of Vanderbilt football, I can't even remember James Franklin having them have this type of confidence in themselves to now they have 3 wins and they're going, oh, we're getting 3 more. We're going to a bowl game and this is just the start.
Yeah, that game on Saturday was a sit your ass down type of game. And I think Alabama's going to take that one personally and move forward to have some intriguing matchups, to say the least. You could see that offense cooking at the end of it, but their defense still was not able to stop a thing. And that was the biggest problem. As we hop into our final break of the hour, and on the other side, Smokey Mike will be on with us, as well as your guys' phone calls. 256-5764-977 is the number to get in here on the Morning Blitz.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is you need a new roof, not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Howdy, folks. Bob Baumhauer here. Whether you're planning a tailgate party at the game, cheering for your favorite teams at home, or at your local Baumhauers with your family and friends, we're here to make your football party legendary with our party-ready tray selections. From our always fresh buttermilk fried chicken tenders to the homemade Nana's chicken salad, and of course, our fresh, never frozen, award-winning Buffalo-style chicken wings. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Embark on a flavorful journey at the Brewers Cooperative, located within the vibrant community hub of Stovehouse in Huntsville. Their brewery isn't just about crafting exceptional beers. It's a destination where culinary delights and local brews harmonize. Whether you're seeking a laid-back lunch or a lively dinner with friends, their diverse menu has something to please every palate. And with a commitment to quality and a passion for innovation, they invite you to savor the unique flavor of Huntsville's craft beer scene at the Brewers Cooperative.
Hi, this is Chris Stewart. The quest for a 19th championship starts this fall. Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Doesn't matter if you're listening on 97.7 ESPN The Zone or ESPN Winchester. The Morning Blitz always brought to you by Fleming Roofing and Restoration, where you can also get in on the phone lines at 256-5764.
977.
Coming up tonight, you still have some NFL football. New Orleans Saints and Kansas City Chiefs. You'll be able to hear it here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. 7:15 kickoff is when you will get a little bit of that action.
I'm hoping that Travis Kelce doesn't put up too many points. Right now, I'm leading Kramer in the DFL, and I'm really hoping to get a win because it'd be 3 straight for me, and it looked like my fantasy football team starting to finally look up as I picked up Tucker Kraft, as well as Jaden Reed yesterday. So his quarterback, whatever Jordan Love did, it gave me points as well.
You can also watch WZZN TV on YouTube. Not only that, as well as X. But let's go back to those phone lines. Smokey Mike, welcome into the Morning Blitz.
I am in a glass case of emotion right now.
So we're all of us are.
Yes.
All of us are.
It is very much so. Like, I mean, Joe understands this. Joe knows what I'm talking about when I say BVS.
Oh, there's massive BVS going on right now.
Yes, there is. And when Vanderbilt ended up winning, I stood there while I was working and was just like, I don't want to talk any type of smack. And the reason why was because Tennessee was going to play later that evening.
Yep.
And, I mean, it's happened that many a times before to where it's just like, it's a nut punch. That's the best way to put it. And lo and behold, the nut punch yet happened to, of all teams, the Pigs.
Yep.
Like, it had to be the freaking Pigs and the Motorcycle Man.
Yeah, it was a weekend full of odd games, and that was definitely one of them to finish it off. And for Alabama fans, they might be a little bit happier, I would say, a little less sad maybe because of that Tennessee loss. But at the end of the day, I think a large majority of the SEC fan base is just all there with you in that glass of emotions. Is I got a few Tennessee fans that instantly were just like, I am depressed. And I was like, please don't.
I mean, my other emotions that I got over the weekend, too, is, my professional team's got a quarterback that I absolutely despise, and I don't think that he should have been number 1 overall this past year.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the Browns.
No. I was actually going to say, at least he doesn't get paid $215 million to have an 8 quarterback rating. I mean,
it is a rough life.
Joe and boys, after what happened this past weekend, don't you think that makes next weekend like an automatic must-win for both teams?
Yes.
Because
yes.
I mean that's all straight playoff seeding right there. Because now whoever wins that game is going to probably be in the playoff while the other's going to be out.
Well, and the reason why we say this is a lot of people thought Alabama and Tennessee were going to go into that game undefeated, but obviously you have a scenario now where even where they've lost, both teams are still in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both still there. And I know that we keep wanting to forget this, but Texas being the number 1 team in the country also means that Texas is the number 1 team in the SEC. And we continue to forget that they're there because this is their first season. And so Texas is looking good. Georgia's got to figure out, how they're going to respond after everything. Beating Auburn's, it's okay. Everybody does that. Everybody does that. But now you're in this scenario where both Alabama and Tennessee fans are going into this thing a little bit bruised, and they both need this win big time. I mean, big time. They have got to have this one.
I mean, with Tennessee having Georgia later on in the schedule, Tennessee needs this, I think, a little bit more than Bama, but it's the head-to-head that's the most important. Like, I mean, now we're going to be comparing teams with head-to-head, and if Georgia gets through Ole Miss, gets through, I mean, granted, they still have Texas coming up, but I honestly, I can't see more than 4 SEC teams going.
Well, and Mike, we got to go because the music's playing. But look, Alabama still has to play Tennessee. They still have to host Missouri, and they still have LSU. Now, we don't know what Oklahoma will be at the end of the season, and we know they're going to kill Auburn. So they still have 2 or 3 other opportunities outside of Tennessee that's going to be very tough matchups because they're going to be going to Baton Rouge.
But, I mean, the question then goes to how many losses can you lose until, you're able to maybe rebound at the end of the season and make it in?
2 is the line. And I mean, like, your heels may be off the edge.
Give it a few more
2
weeks,
is the heel.
College football is going to be thrown through a loop, and there's only going to be 1 or 2 undefeated teams. We got a whole hour coming up here on the Morning Blitz.
It all comes back to money.
Visit our store right now at zonedeals.bigdealsmedia.net to take advantage of all the best deals in the Tennessee Valley. Or just go to our website, 977espn.com, and click on the Zone Deals logo to start saving right now.
Now, as to the price.
These deals won't last long, so get yours now. Zone Deals. You'll thank us later.
A man who could easily afford to buy a vowel.
It's official. 47 years in a row, Ford F-150 is the best-selling truck in America. Come drive one, and you'll see why. Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to kickstart the new year in a brand new F-150. Choose from nearly 200 F-150s, and we think you'll find just the right one. Right now, we have financing as low as 2.9% for up to 72 months on 2023 F-150s, and lease payments as low as $389 a month. That's a 36-month lease with $62.82 due at signing, 0 security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. This offer ends January 31st. Call 539-9441 for complete details. At Woody Anderson Ford, we have nearly 50 2023 Explorers for you to choose from, too, with financing as low as 0.9% for up to 60 months. Plus, check out our over 40 24 Bronco Sports and a fresh truckload of the full-size Broncos that have just hit the ground. Come on over and let's get the new year rolling. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan at Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by CB&S Bank. Bank anywhere, at any time with CB&S Bank's digital solutions. Managing your finances has never been so easy. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. After Alabama fell to Vanderbilt on Saturday, here are some thoughts from head coach Kalen DeBoer.
Disappointed, frustrated. I mean, you name what it is. That's what everyone is in the locker room right now. And, you prepare and it's positive energy all week long. I really do think our guys prepared hard. There's some things that we're going to look back on tomorrow and, be really frustrated about. You don't like talking what ifs, and that's going to be the situation we're going to be dealing with tomorrow. But, the guys in the locker room just talk about, there is only one option. It's to move forward, to get back to work. I feel we got a great football team. We weren't at our best today, and we're going to find out, really, how much we care about each other and what it looks like moving forward.
I'll have more in a moment.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations. You could say we know a thing or two about tradition. We've been family, community, and financially strong since we began in 1906. Being a team player is part of our culture. That's why at CB&S Bank, we're proud to sponsor the University of Alabama Athletics and prouder to take the field or court with you. Visit cbsbank.com today. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Join us tonight for Crimson Tide Rewind, presented by the Alabama Department of Public Health, live at 6 p.m. Central at Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by CBNS Bank. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
Monday Night Football, the 4-0 Chiefs are home against the 2-2 Saints. The Chiefs reportedly are in the market for a wide receiver after injuries to Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown. The defending Super Bowl champions are favored by 5 in this one. The Saints at plus 190 on the money line. The over-under is 42.5. Kansas City remains the favorite to win the Super Bowl at plus 475, with the Ravens and Niners now tied at plus 750, and the Lions a plus $1,000 bet. ALDS today plus 110 Cleveland sends Matthew Boyd to the mound against Terry Skubal and the Tigers. The plus 125 Royals send Cole Reagans against Carlos Rodon against the Yankees. That's the VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
3, 2, 1.
Joe Hunk, John Abraham, Bailey Lowery, 256-576-4977. This is the Morning Blitz.
Hello, welcome back into the Morning Blitz, second hour here in No Man's Land on I had the name down. Absolutely Madhouse Monday. When we talk about Madhouse Mondays, it's all about just the stuff that we couldn't predict over the weekend. And I got to admit, after all of those upsets, I had me kind of, recollecting on my career and what I'm doing wrong. But at the same time, if you're some of these coaches, you might be also doing some of that deep dive into your mind as a lot of teams that shouldn't have lost, and a lot of fake teams. I'm looking at you, Mizzou. I'm sorry. I hate to see it, but they also drop down as
They're not
well.
fake. We all said that. I mean, how many times did we hear that Ole Miss was fake last week, and then they just came out and owned South Carolina?
Well, here's the thing. And
it's one loss. This is a different world, man.
No. This is a different story altogether. All right, because I looked at Mizzou. Of course, is a really talented team, and this offense is great. The defense was what could show a little bit of cracks at times. It was the same case as last year, but now moving halfway into the year, a little bit farther, we've learned that this offense relies a lot more on Luther Burton than we expected. Their running game couldn't get going against Texas A&M, and that kind of halted any chance of them staying in this game, where they ended up losing with the fat 40 up on the board for Texas A&M. It was a big win for them, but it's a Texas A&M team that I honestly don't know where it stands within the SEC, and that's why I would love you guys to hop in on the conversation, 256-576-4977. We have a lot of phone lines to get to, but before we do that, remember, you can also watch on WZZN TV on our YouTube. And on top of that, there's a lot of high school football games to look forward to this week. Buckhorn versus Southside Gaston on air. Madison Academy versus New Hope on Zone 2. Yeah. Bandy, you're off on a bye. You think that you have a Friday to just do whatever you want, but that's not the case. You're probably going to be helping out in other things, because that's just how it is. We're jam-packed here at 97.7.
Might be tough. I'll be in Birmingham.
No, well, screw it. You're going to be here either way. Sparkman versus James Clemens. Going to be a fun game with me and the Joe Hunk at Sparkman. Westminster is back, and they're going to be playing up against the Madison County. On top of that, Huntsville versus Albertville on Talk Radio, as well as the game of the week, which is going to be Grissom versus Florence. Of course, that one's going to be at Joe Davis, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Either way. Bandy, let's hop into the phone lines.
Yeah, that's smart.
What do we got first, man?
Smart. We got Harry on the hotline. What's going on, Harry?
Hey, guys, I appreciate the time. I'll be real short. What you saw Saturday in that Alabama game was a team that focused in Vanderbilt, plan your work and work your plan. If the Vanderbilt quarterback's not the SEC Player of the Week, I don't know who is. That kid came out of New Mexico State with the offensive coordinator. They put an outstanding plan together, and he's a baller. You look at that game again, he knew where everybody he was on the field that he needed to get the ball to, and when he couldn't locate him, he knew where he had to put that ball with his hand to get the win. It's a well-played game. They burned the clock. They put Alabama in an unusual situation of being down early, and having to fight back. And I hats off to Alabama. Excuse me, hats off to Vandy for playing hard, but hats off for Alabama to stay in the game and trying to come back. Regarding Texas A&M, any given Saturday, you better put your big boy pants on if you're ready to play football.
Absolutely.
You can be rated, but you've got to win the game. And that's Mizzou went into College Station not really prepared, I don't believe. And Texas A&M handed it to them just like you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So week to week, it's going to be rough sled, not rest of the year for these teams. But everybody's got to play the game week to week. Give Vandy the credit. They had an extra game plan, and that quarterback they got to follower. Experience, and that offensive coordinator from New Mexico State made Auburn look bad last year on the home field, and they stuck it to Alabama on their home field.
No doubt.
Absolutely. And yeah, and thanks for that phone call, Harry, because look, he's right, because he made no mistakes.
No, Pavia? No, 16 of 20.
He made
the end of this game.
He was, and this is where like the offense goes. Like it's a heavy RPO offense. You're going to see a lot of runs because of the RPO mentality of the offense, but he made the right decision every single time. He was never making the wrong read when the man was open. He threw it to the man. Like, think about how many throws that he made on Saturday where he threw it to a wide receiver that was open by 3 or 4 yards.
Yeah.
And I mean, by the time he catches it and turns around, then the Bama player was there. Like, these were wide open wide receivers, and that comes from the reads that Pavia was making. That's where Harry is totally right on this. The win by Vanderbilt on Alabama was because their quarterback did not make mistakes, and Alabama never got him into a situation to make him make a mistake.
Yeah, no doubt. And with the formation that this offense was running, you have the 4, the 5 wide receivers. You're going to find somebody open, but it is just the finding part of that wide receiver, and you're not dumping it off. These were not short passes, those passes you see Kirk Cousins making or Tom Brady making whenever he was playing. These are passes that are going to, contest the defense, see where the secondary is, throw it 10 to 20 yards up the field, and you're able to complete on them. That's what we saw from Vanderbilt, and it did seem like Alabama played a little bit soft because they were ready for possibly a run from the quarterback or that switch up, give it to your running back and see where he goes. Cedric Alexander was a huge role in this game. Whenever they handed it off to him, the defense thought there was going to be a pass. You give it to your running back, he's able to get 6-7 yards like that, and you're able to set up the pass the next go around because the guys are now expecting you to run it again. It was the whole time. It just seemed like Vanderbilt had Alabama's number. And that's something I never thought I would have to say, but it's something we have to take into consideration. We've talked about it before. The not just the SEC, but college football as a whole has gotten so much more competitive thanks to the NIL, thanks to the transfer portal. And once everybody starts hopping in on this bus, that's whenever college football is going to be the most elite. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2, 3 teams being insanely good. I'm talking about maybe a national championship team ends up having 2 losses. Maybe they have 1 loss. That's the type of college football that I'm thinking that we're getting towards. And honestly, I'm all here for it.
Yeah, I think that you can have 2 losses and make it in the college football playoff. I think you have 2.
Yeah.
You can't have 3 unless it's just one of these 2007 seasons where everybody's losing every single week type deals.
Yeah.
But 2 losses. I think 2 losses means obviously it's not in your hands, and you're going to need to make sure that committee sees you as one of the best wild card teams to get in, because now even 2 losses get you at the edge. Like I say, if you're looking at the cliff, your heels are off the cliff and you're just standing there on your tiptoes if you have a second loss.
Well, here's the thing. We're also set up for a Texas team to, obviously, if they were on the bye this week, now you look forward. They're playing Oklahoma next week, okay? Like Joe said, 2007 was a year where a lot of unranked teams, or just a lot of teams that weren't supposed to win, were able to beat number 1 ranked teams. It was a lot of flip-flop, a lot of diversity with the leader in college football. Right now, Texas looks to be kind of sitting firm at that number 1 spot, but at the same time, you look forward to who they're playing: Oklahoma, Georgia.
And they get Ewers back this week, too.
You go on. I mean, and that's going to be huge. You guys don't, people be, going on this Texas bandwagon thinking that Arch Manning's the guy to go. Quinn Ewers is the dude that's going to win the national championship for you if Texas ends up getting to that point. Arch Manning, He's the future of this organization. It's good to see a little bit from him, but Quinn Ewers is the guy you want to roll with, especially in his final season. And then you get to see him get drafted in the first round next year. That's the thing that Texas wants to see. Texas, though, playing Oklahoma, playing Georgia, it's going to be interesting to see if they can stay at the top of the college football world as we look at Ohio State. And who has Ohio State been playing? Absolutely nobody. And it has been hilarious.
PFF College just put out their grades for quarterbacks in week 6. Yeah. And Diego Pavia actually comes in at number 6 of their highest graded quarterbacks. Wow. This is Jalen Milroe actually above him as the number 2 highest graded quarterback. Wow. So Jalen Milroe's number 2, Cam Ward was number 1 in that. Connor Wigman was number 3, and Carson Beck was 4.
Let's get back into those phone lines before we hop out. Bandy, who do we got up next?
We got Natty Dan on the hotline. What's going on, Natty Dan?
Natty Dan!
All right, gentlemen. Well, let's talk a little bit here. So now Alabama has a team, lower level team in the SEC, put on 40 points. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then they had the lead the whole game. So what kind of win is that? What do you call that?
For Vanderbilt?
Yes.
I think it is an assertive victory for Clark Lear in that squad.
Assertive. Well, you're a little kind on that, but hey, look.
There's not a chance at the end of it.
You're number 1. Mm-hmm. Okay. You were number 1. Now, I thought beginning of this year we'd make the playoffs, and obviously toward a couple games in, I got on your radio station. I said, no, and no, I said maybe, but actually no, because what happened last week now, but the great thing about that last week is that we at least found a quarterback. I think Tuttle is a guy that can keep this team going. He throws the ball better. He had an interception, but he had a really good touchdown pass, and he actually has a little quick feet. So that possibly will hold well. I don't think we'll make the playoffs now, but you know what? We're going to be some kind of bowl game. I'm sure we'll have that. Yeah. But the Alabama thing, I think you're right. They're on tippy toes. You lose one more game, two losses might keep you out of the playoffs.
It's a big might, the way that teams are dropping right now.
Well, and I think that a lot of this also comes into you got to let your conference champions get in, and I don't think Alabama's going to be your conference champion. You got to have, and so that's it. And so whoever most likely is going to be playing in the conference championship game, the loser of that is most likely also going to get in from the SEC. So that's going to be a spot that you're dealing with. And now you're trying to figure out if all the teams that are left in the SEC, let's say that the SEC is getting 4 in. Are you one of the other 2 that's the best? And so that's where this matchup with Tennessee next week is going to be a big deal, because you feel like the winner of that is going to be the number 3 team in the SEC.
Well, I did get a chance to put some cash on my teams because I'm home now working, but I did. While I was there, I went to the casino, put some cash on them.
Nice.
Excited. Now the Tigers didn't do too well. All right, Detroit Tigers. But today's a different game. We got our ace pitcher. And if we can win this one, it's tied up, series tied up, and we'll go from there. So, but gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, I still think my Lions are going to be poised for the Super Bowl. Dallas got beat up last night pretty good. We got them Sunday. We're going to get the revenge back from that offensive lineman reported in. Decker reported it in last year, and we threw the ball to him and we got an extra point from that. And we didn't get extra point because they called it back because he said he didn't report it, but it was clearly on the tape showing he reported in. So we're going to get a revenge because Dallas ain't worth crap right now.
Yeah, they're definitely
struggling. No, and you got to make sure that Micah Parsons is back if you're Dallas. Like, that's the other thing of this is he wasn't playing last night, and that's a massive loss for the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, anyway, all right, gentlemen. Well, Bama lick your wounds. You got to play South Carolina and then Tennessee. You still got a pretty good stretch of good teams. So
yeah, they do.
You're right, man. You're on the edge. You can still get in, but I think 2 losses is too much. I think there'll be a lot of 1-loss teams.
Well, and there may be, and thanks for that phone call, Dan, because there's a lot of people that looking at this now that with the SEC and in general, yes, they believe that there's going to be 4 SEC teams getting in. That's why I'm using that as kind of my baseline. Yeah. Because I don't think there's going to be 5, but if whoever wins the SEC championship, whether it's Texas or Georgia or Alabama, or Tennessee or whoever, like we still have to not act like Ole Miss is still there. They're still the number 9 team in the country. They moved up 3 spots in the AP ranking after what they did to South Carolina on Saturday. So we can't act like they're not there because they are. And yes, they had a bad game. They lost against Kentucky, but if you want to use Kentucky against Ole Miss, then you're obviously going to be using Vanderbilt against Alabama, and then you're going to use Arkansas against Tennessee. Like Georgia is really the only team right now in the SEC outside of Texas that has an argument when it comes to who they've played, because Texas is undefeated. They have no losses to use against them. So you would assume that you're looking at this. If you're thinking 4, then either Alabama, Tennessee, or Ole Miss is getting left out.
Yeah.
Who's getting left out of those?
Yeah. All I got to say is, does the Georgia game outweigh the Vanderbilt loss? We know that Alabama can beat the best of the best, but they can also lose to arguably the worst of the worst. I don't even know. I can't even say that about Vanderbilt.
I'm telling you, like it may just be the helmet. You're the number 1 team in the country, and you go into Nashville and you got handled.
Yeah.
It wasn't again a lucky play. It wasn't I can't believe this bounced off of his chest and went ricocheted 16 feet in the air and a Vanderbilt player came down with it type thing. No, there was none of that. Alabama got outplayed.
Yeah, and that's why I said it was an assertive victory for a Vanderbilt team that still had a chance to lose that because of Alabama's opportunities to get down the field so quick. Of course, that fumble at the end of the game didn't really help out too much. And of course, the defense not stopping that offense definitely was that killing blow. But we got to hop into a break. Yeah. When we get back, more phone lines, more college football talk, and wacky underdog picks are going to be a huge topic as we get closer and closer to the end of this episode of the Morning Blitz.
It's official. 47 years in a row, Ford F-150 is the best-selling truck in America. Come drive one, and you'll see why. Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to kickstart the new year in a brand new F-150. Choose from nearly 200 F-150s, and we think you'll find just the right one. Right now, we have financing as low as 2.9% for up to 72 months on 2023 F-150s, and lease payments as low as $389 a month. That's a 36-month lease with $6,282 due at signing, 0 security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. This offer ends January 31st. Call 539-9441 for complete details. At Woody Anderson Ford, we have nearly 50 2023 Explorers for you to choose from, too, with financing as low as 0.9% for up to 60 months. Plus, check out our over 40 24 Bronco Sports and a fresh truckload of the full-size Broncos that have just hit the ground. Come on over and let's get the new year rolling. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan and Sparkman, hope to see you soon.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio and have some fun with friends playing yard games in the courtyard. See catering, to-go options, and lots more at goodcompany-cafe.com. Good Company Cafe, 7500 South Memorial Parkway.
Mark and Henry McDaniel, attorneys at law, are proud alumni of Madison Academy, and Madison Academy is proud of them. They have served our community through their practice, through volunteerism and service on national, state, and local boards. They explain the complexity of critical court rulings on local media. Their successful practice has been built on integrity. Both are veterans of MA Athletics and proud sponsors of Mustang football. McDaniel and McDaniel, attorneys at law. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by the lawyer.
It's an amazing time in our industry. Things are changing so rapidly. With digital signatures and workflow software, we help our customers work from anywhere. This helps you save time and money and upgrade your technology. Like I said, it's an amazing time to watch our customers grow and succeed.
Just ask anyone. The Lion's Secret. You bet.
Don't disrespect Ghetto Cowboy.
Never heard that.
This is one of my favorite songs ever.
I can hear that.
Bone Thugs,
look,
come on.
I've known some Ghetto Cowboys before. All right, I've known some. They played on my football.
Did they count their money
up in probably on on the horse. Yep, because they used to sell horses.
Was he wanted out west for all the gold that he stole?
I don't think he's ever been out west. He played at.
He even took the mayor's daughter.
He did go on to play some.
Now there's
football.
kidnapping.
All
but
right.
she was willing, so he brought her.
I don't know. He might be listening up in Winchester. His name is Jarius. Jarius, you'll know exactly who you are if you're hearing this. But either way, welcome back into the show. ESPN Winchester.
There we are,
also
Jarius.
gets us. So he gets a little bit of a shout out, a little bit of love. I miss that dude. I remember beating him in college football 14 whenever we brought that into the locker room. But look, okay, today's topic has been all about this Alabama, all about this Vanderbilt loss. And, of course, whenever we look at the wide range of teams around the college football landscape, it's not just the Alabama and Vanderbilt game, even though that one definitely the most jarring. But we can look at other matchups. Of course, Natty Dan hopped in on the topic. He's also very upset about his Michigan loss to Will Rogers in Washington. Which,
Will Rogers, the one that used to be at Michigan, that Mississippi State. Yeah, that Will Rogers.
That one that I thought that Mississippi State team with Will Rogers was going to be a surprise team last season. That's not the case. And on top of that, of course, Arkansas against Tennessee. So a lot of topics to talk about to get you guys on. Whatever you want to get into, we can do that. And we hop into the phone lines yet again with Jason. Jason, how you doing today, brother?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, man.
Yeah, a little bit of,
The worst thing about the Alabama game is they stayed in that 4-2-5 defense the whole ball game. They had no solution how to fix the shovel pass.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody picked up the tight end. They would run out, come off late out of the backfield. And then I'm sitting here watching the Arkansas game, which T-Rob was actually at Alabama last year, being groomed to be a defensive coordinator, and looked like he done a pretty good job. He was actually dropping 3 bags and taking, I can't pronounce Tennessee's quarterback's name, but he was taking that deep pass away from them. So he made adjustments to win the ball game. It was actually a little bit upset that Alabama, didn't put somebody in the middle. They started playing lane assignment. They done none of that. And Vanderbilt took full advantage of it. Give them credit. I mean, they whooped them.
Well, and I think that it also goes to the Vanderbilt offense. Like the offense that they run, the RPO style, like it's very hard to be able to blitz in that type of offense because you're going to be over pursuing on everything. And just you also, the blitzing that you're going to be doing is going to open up a hole because let's use just the slant, for instance. If you're using an RPO and your linebacker is going to be blitzing, if there's a slant coming in from that side, that guy's wide open now. Yeah. And so that's where you got to have to stay in your lanes and you got to be more reactive than you have to be aggressive on it. And I think that was part of what the Vanderbilt offense was able to do and why, they were sitting there and just saying, look, don't be aggressive. Just take what Alabama gives you and just continue to take it. And through this long drive and us keeping them on the field, you're going to wear them down. And there were times where when they were running up the middle, these running backs were getting 6 and 7 yards on a run up the middle because they were thinking that Pavia was going to keep it and take it on the outside edge. Again, then the running back goes past him on the inside lane. And when they were thinking he was going to take it on the inside lane, Pavia is either dumping it to the wide receiver that's open on the RPO or he's running it out. Like that's the whole type of offense that they were running. And that makes it hard. Arkansas's biggest thing has been what we've talked about for the last month. They didn't turn the football over.
Nope.
Defensively, they had amazing game plan for Nico, but offensively, just don't turn it over. And you're a good football team. And that's what they did on Saturday night.
Yeah, Arkansas has no offense, and they still won. I mean, heads up to them. I mean, what game for them?
I mean, I look at Arkansas, and I actually do see a little bit more offense than that Tennessee team. Look, Taylon Green, he's been very explosive all season long. He's very talented, but at the same time, he is somewhat the downfall of this offense as well. He has thrown a lot of interceptions. He's made the bad mistakes. He's still a young quarterback. So him actually going out, halfway through this game and letting a guy like Malachi Singleton come in and finish it off, honestly, was probably the best thing that could happen for this Arkansas team. But at the same time, Tennessee only scored 14 points, and it all happened in one quarter, whereas Arkansas was able to spread the scoring out a little bit. And I think that consistency led to them winning as well. As
nobody scored in the first half.
Walmart Field was just going crazy.
I mean, it was like, what, 3 points were scored in the first half of that game?
Yeah, Arkansas got that 3 points at the beginning. And then Andrew Armstrong, I mean, that guy is just an absolute beast. But that's the only thing that Arkansas has whenever you pass the ball. They don't really have anything else. Jaquindon Jackson is the running back. That's about it. I mean, this isn't a multi-dimensional offense by any means.
No, and in the Alabama game, I think it really killed Alabama was when they had two number twos out on the field. When they get the ball, they can take the lead.
It's like my ultimate team.
Are they not anybody watching this game from the sideline going, hey, we got two number twos out. We need to call a timeout so they kick this ball.
Yes, like that is somebody's job. Like there's somebody's job that it is their job. And even the guy that's receiving the punt is supposed to be looking and counting. You see it all the time where the guy that's receiving the punt is counting the players and looking. Like you should see this and call the timeout before the ball is snapped, because if he would have seen it, called the timeout, then they don't get the penalty. But because the play ran, they get the penalty and Vanderbilt keeps the football.
Right. And number two for Alabama, Ryan Williams, he's a great ball player, but he has no reason to return punts. You got 7 and you got 9.
Yeah.
Put them back there. I mean, somebody can get a helmet sticker for knocking Ryan Williams in the next week.
Yeah. And people are going to be going after him. He's been the stud, been the talk of the town for the last 3 weeks, and rightfully so. But
I know you got that conundrum where it's like you don't want your star wide receiver to get hurt on a punt return or a kickoff return. But then again, I mean, you got the other guys too, but I don't know if they're going to really have the ability to play make like Ryan Williams does.
Yeah.
Like it's
Did
tough.
anybody take Louisiana Monroe on the wacky underdog pick?
Yeah, Joe actually did.
Joe did.
Boom. I heard that. How many points did you get, Joe?
16 and a half. Yeah. 16 and a half.
I was actually about to bring it up for you, Jason, because you actually won as well. Syracuse at UNLV.
I think I'm going to play dirty this week. I got to think about it. But Oklahoma owns Texas, that Red River rivalry.
I mean, there you go. I mean, that's one to look at.
I might have to go there. Oklahoma's got the defense, and we still got the Manning being the quarterback.
I believe Texas will make the switch because Quinn Ewers will be back.
They had Manning going until the bye week. They had a bye week this week so they were making sure that Ewers was going to be fully healthy. And again, they were also playing a schedule that they knew that they could win with Manning, even if Manning was subpar, which he wasn't. Then they were like, look, let's just give Ewers a little bit more time.
Okay, I got to think about that one. I ain't taking it today, but I got to think about it. Right. Joe got 16 and a half. I need 21.
Yeah.
I was hoping my pick of Ole Miss, South Carolina will work out a little bit better, but
man, what the hell?
Lo and behold, South Carolina couldn't run the ball, kind of like anyone on that day.
Oh, we'll be running down the Wacky Underdog picks in the next segment. Appreciate you as always, Jason.
Y'all have a good.
Good stuff from him. We're going to hop into a break. When we get back, I will be running down the Wacky Underdog picks because we didn't have one winner. We didn't have two winners. We didn't have three winners. We had 4+ winners in this last week's Wacky Underdog picks. And the standings are coming up next here on the Morning Blitz.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Take it to the house this football season with the Alabama Manufactured Housing Association. If Alabama or Auburn returns their first received kickoff in the second half for a touchdown at a home SEC game, one lucky fan will win up to a $75,000 down payment towards the purchase of a manufactured home from an authorized AMHA dealer. Don't miss your chance to take it to the house this season and win a beautiful manufactured home. Register to win today at auburntigers.com/ticket-to-the-house or rolltide.com/ticket-to-the-house. Certain terms and conditions may apply. To learn more, visit alamha.org.
77 countries worked in, over 150 projects, 35 years combined experience. This is what the team at Rocket City Federal Solution brings to the table all over the world, headed by CEO Jason Largent. These great Americans handle everything from IT and cybersecurity to operational and maintenance services for critical infrastructure. They also specialize in the management and maintenance of critical systems, ensuring that essential infrastructure operates without interruption. Learn more at RocketCityFederalSolutions.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com. If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go Higher and go Army.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
Listen to Madison Academy football all season long.
And it is covered up by the Mustangs in the end zone. Touchdown Madison Academy. Touchdown Madison Academy.
On 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and pepper and heavy D up in the limousine. Hanging pictures on my wall.
Tell you what else is a dream right now. Feels like it at least. Army and Navy being undefeated. 5-0. And I know last week the thing was, it was like since 1945, since World War II. It was the first time both teams were undefeated at 4-0. But now it's gotten even crazier as, of course, Army gets their big win against Tulsa, and they look forward to, honestly, a pretty freaking easy schedule. I'm going to say that. Notre Dame is going to be their toughest matchup, and then, of course, that Army-Navy matchup on December 14th is always going to be a great one. But there's just a little bit more to it as we get into the final segments of this episode of the Morning Blitz, of course, presented by Fleming Roofing and Restoration. The guys you need to talk about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online at FlemingHSV.com to fill out your free quote today. And remember that Fleming always shows up. What?
And I'm about to say, see, I'm following up on the Army-Navy thing. I'm ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because imagine we go into the AAC Conference Championship, have Army-Navy fight it out for the championship, and then immediately the week after we go into I keep forgetting the special name for it.
Army-Navy game?
Well, I mean, yeah, the Army-Navy game, yeah, but again, it's like they were calling it the same thing for the Armed Forces Cup.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so you're talking about between Army, Navy, and Air Force.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then because Navy already beat Air Force. It beat them pretty handily too.
Yeah. When it comes down to the special academy games and all that stuff, Air Force is probably the least competitive, I would say, compared to Navy and Army. But again, these schedules haven't been too crazy for either team. Bandy, if you can find me the date, the last time both of these teams are 5-0, if ever, okay, because there's a lot of first times for a lot of teams this season is, of course, Vanderbilt wins against the number 1 ranked team for the first time in 11 tries. So that was always intriguing. But I want to
dare you do that?
I want to
Alabama.
hop
Do
in.
you know they're playing kids on there that are only 17 years old?
I know.
How do you feel about yourself?
Now,
You beat a 17.
I don't want to keep reminding our fan base.
now the last time Army and Navy were both 5-0 to start the season off, 1945.
Okay, so it was the same season that they were both 4-0. All right, so right after World War II. All right.
Yeah.
They were feeling some type of way after that war.
Come on, man. They beat the Japanese. They know that they're like, screw it, man. We can beat everybody.
Oh.
You think that your schedule's harder than ours? We just went over and beat the Nazis. All right. Screw you.
I mean, that's what
You
I'm
didn't do
saying.
what we did.
That's what I'm saying. You're feeling some type of way when you're playing football after you literally were putting down your life for our amazing country. As we look forward to Wacky Underdog picks, of course, not going to be throwing out any previews, but I will say Alabama, 21-point favorite against South Carolina. Anybody wants to bet against the Tide again? I'm looking at you, Yorkie. Right? You can't do it. As we look down a week of winners, as, of course, Tennessee and Arkansas. I had Arkansas, guys. I had Arkansas winning that game. It gave me 13.5 extra points. Joe, you had UL Monroe against James Madison. Did not think that one would hit, but you got 16.5 points towards that one.
Yeah.
On top of that, Yorkie did get that win. Alabama at Vanderbilt. This is the thing. Yorkie is an Alabama guy, all right? But at the end of the day, you take those picks, you get a little bit extra, and if your team somehow loses, you still end up a winner at the end of the day, even though you're not going to be rocking the Tide gear the next day.
The very moment that Vanderbilt started storming the field, I just looked down and I'd gotten a text message from him, and all it said was, "Told you."
He's like, "I'm a winner. I'm a winner."
Told you.
And then on top of that, Smokey, Mike, and Jason both got that Syracuse at UNLV win, so that is 6 points towards them. So we look at the leaders, all right? I'm going to start at the bottom. 6th. We got Kramer sitting at 5.5 points. Then we got 5th, Smokey Mike at 6 points. Jason at 4th with 12.5. Joe, you're sitting at 3rd with 22.5. Yorkie with his 1 win, 23 points at 2nd. And then me at the top. Again, I can't win any prizes. All right. 25.5 points towards the, of course, half-point season. You're going to get a prize. And then at the way end of the season, whenever everything wraps up, you'll get the big prize. And it's probably going to consist of some golf and some food at some of the best places here in Huntsville.
I don't think I've gotten a single one right yet.
No, you haven't, because you're not on this list.
I totally should have had the Colorado one, but I screwed that one up.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
All right, so here's the thing. I look back at the 1945 season for Army and Navy.
Mm-hmm.
So in this, they not only did Army go undefeated in this season, they beat 5 ranked teams.
Wow.
In this season.
So it was a totally different type of year than what they're doing
Absolutely.
now.
They started out being number 1 in the nation on October 13th, and they are going into the October 13 game, which was week 3, and they stayed number 1 for the remainder of the season. And here's what was crazy. The Army Navy attendance, 102,000 people were in Philly for this game in 1945. Now, they beat number 9 Michigan, number 19 Duke. Interestingly, the game against Duke actually happened at the Polo Grounds. They beat number 2 Notre Dame. They beat number 6 Penn, and then they beat number 2 Navy. Navy, who is number 2 all the way from October 13th until they ended up tying Notre Dame on November 3rd, they beat 2 ranked opponents, 1 being Penn, 1 being Michigan, and then they tied Notre Dame, and then they eventually lost their 1 game to Army at the end of the season.
That's interesting. Good little history lesson there from you, Joe.
Again, if you can beat the Nazis, you can beat Michigan's cover 2.
Yeah, I mean, it was
just saying.
This was college football at a different time. They didn't have to pass the ball, but that's what makes
okay, my bad. If you can beat the Nazis, then you can beat the front four of Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay.
4 guys versus 40,000 plus, on the battlefield. It's definitely something. Army, the toughest game they're going to be playing is going to be Notre Dame on November 23rd. And again, we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on that one, as Notre Dame has just been the same type of team as late, up and down. Their downs are really down, but their ups are really up. I mean, their blowout of Pitt was or was it Pitt or Purdue? No, Purdue, because Pitt's still undefeated. They destroyed Purdue, and it made almost everybody forget about the Northern Illinois loss they had the week prior to that. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting when we get down to that point. But
Pitt may not be undefeated after this weekend.
Yeah.
Because they play a Cal team.
Well, Cal.
It's only 3.5 point spread, though. It's not that sexy.
Yeah. Well,
but,
I mean, this is a Cal team that should have beaten Miami. And that is an upsetting thing. And I love the segue that we just had, because I know you want to get into something that is more related to the topic at hand, but
yes,
the wild games around all of college football. If you guys watched Miami versus Pitt or versus Cal, you probably fell asleep before this one ended. But when it did end, I did not expect Miami to still be atop and also now be ranked, 6th? So it definitely shows you that there's a few teams out there that are just scraping by. And I don't know if it's going to last forever, but right now, Cam Ward and this Miami team are still moving up in the rankings. And that means he's not going to fall off this Heisman train anytime soon. Joe?
All right, so Malachi Moore, which we've talked a little bit about at the beginning of this, and there's been a few statements made about what happened with him on Saturday night against Vanderbilt. He has put out a statement. He says, he put this out on Instagram. He says, I want to apologize to my teammates, our coaches, the fans, our alumni, and my family for the way that I acted on Saturday. I was completely out of line. I let the emotions of the game get the best of me and put myself before the team. Yeah. As a 2-time captain and a 5th-year player, I understand the standard that we are expected to live up to at Alabama, and I failed to do so by acting in a selfish and unacceptable manner. I came back this season to represent myself, this team, and this university because it means something to me. I am blessed to be able to wear the A on my chest, and I know all that comes with the responsibility of representing the program. I will do better to uphold the Alabama standard moving forward, and I will continue to work and improve while conducting myself in a first-class manner. That's great. You still need to be suspended. I mean, he does.
Now, here's the thing, and I know you throw that out there like it's nothing. There is something to it, to where it's like you don't want your players to be acting like that, especially a captain, a guy that's been around this team for that long. It gets to a point where it's like you can't just throw a suspension at him, but you need to sit him down and discipline him in some way, because if you don't, it's going to lead to a point where we're seeing over the Cleveland Browns right now. Hate to have to wrap it around to that, but you get a guy like Deshaun Watson on your team where he gives up on the team halfway through the game. Malachi Moore, I don't think he's going to do it moving forward. Of course, he's going to learn from these actions, but at the same time, you need to throw some sort of discipline act at this man just to kind of show your team like, hey, look, we're still in charge here. If we tell you to come out of the freaking game, you come out of the game. And of course, Malachi Moore's emotions kind of got the better of it.
The problem is, and this is, I just put it back to like parenthood on this, is if you're going to make a fool in front of yourself on national television, then you need to be punished on national television. Like you need to sit out. Like you need to have it where the cameras are going to be showing you on the sidelines. You're in your hoodie and your jersey on top. And it needs to be like, hey, Malachi Moore not playing tonight, sitting out a game after, due to his, actions that he had against Vanderbilt. Because if you say, oh, well, we're going to punish him, and then he has to run some extra or something, that's not worthy of it, because he made a fool of himself on national television. He did. The way that he was acting when the end of the game was taking place, the kicking of the football, that, I don't care about how much he was wanting to yell at his teammates on the field, because that's a passion thing. But at some point in time, he should have been pulled off the field.
Well,
the game was over. He should have been pulled off the field, and it should have all been over on the sidelines. The kicking of the ball thing is one of the most immature things that I've ever seen any athlete do on a football field, especially at a Division I college football program. Yeah, that was just totally idiotic.
And I totally agree with you on that. As we saw, some people, they get riled up. All right. They let the emotions get the best of them. Of course, we get to watch this Sparkman Senators team every single week, and there's a lot of emotion on a very talented team. That's kind of the same story that's going on with Alabama. They get to a point where they're down in the game they shouldn't be down on, and you see that emotion come out from Malachi Moore, a guy that's been with this organization for as long as he has. It gets to a point where it's like, what are we doing wrong? And he might be a part of that problem, because there were some plays that were over his shoulders into some Vanderbilt hands, and those were touchdowns. So it's not all about his team. It's a lot about himself. He needs to kind of break down and understand a little bit more what's going on. And then you just got to listen to the coaches. Kane Wommack, he came in there. He was telling his player to come out. And if you disobey your coach like that, that sets a terrible standard to the rest of this defense. And it's going to get to a point where they could implode. That's why we need to see a little bit of discipline. And Joe, you make a point, do it to where, the nation gets to see it a little bit.
Yeah. And look, we're not saying tar and feather the kid.
No,
because he's still going to go to the NFL. This isn't going to hurt his draft stock. This is going to be something where he's going to have to answer questions coming up at the NFL Combine, and he's going to have to answer them on whenever he gets interviewed by teams. But look, the truth is, you had 70 plus plays to make sure this outcome didn't happen.
Yeah.
You had 70 plus plays. Whether they all came to you or not. You had 70 plus plays to help your team get into the right set. You had 70 plus plays to come up on an RPO. You had 70 plus plays to make it where your team was winning 40-35 instead of losing to 40-35. So if this would have been something where it happened in the locker room, okay, handle it in the locker room. Yeah. But it's happened on national television in the middle of a football game. So then that should be what gets taken away from him.
Yeah, I feel like the main reason that comes down to it is Alabama still thought they were going to win this game all the way up until, of course, that last turnover. Then that's whenever it started to kind of fall into place. And it definitely was not a good feeling for some of these players. So I feel for them, but at the same time, you got to have a quick memory. You got to lose that real quick, and you got to turn around and think about what you can do better going into this South Carolina match.
Saying you're sorry is the first thing. Like, I always want my son to say sorry. I get it. But saying you're sorry is also not going to stop me from having to punish you.
Yeah.
Like, it has to happen, because the sorry is, to be honest with you, it sucks, but it's the easiest part of this. He didn't put out a video. He wrote something and he put it out and he hit the send button. Like, you've got to do something that is actually going to put it in their mind that they cannot do this again.
Yeah.
And if you're going to act a fool in the game, it should cost you a game.
Yeah.
And I know it's South Carolina, and honestly, Alabama should be able to beat South Carolina without him.
I agree.
But you suspend him for this game, and then he's even more pissed off going up against Tennessee the very next week. So I'm not saying suspending for a month. I'm not saying kick him off the team. He needs to sit out for South Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen Jalen Milroe get benched for lesser things. All right. And you look at what he was able to do in the second half of last season. But want to know your guys' opinions. Alabama fans, hop on those phone lines before we get out of here. 256-5764-977. Because tomorrow we're going to be hopping into a lot of NFL. And I don't know if college football is ready for the amount of turnover we have over there. Here on the Morning Blitz.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman, or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Embark on a flavorful journey at the Brewers Cooperative, located within the vibrant community hub of Stovehouse in Huntsville. Their brewery isn't just about crafting exceptional beers. It's a destination where culinary delights and local brews harmonize. Whether you're seeking a laid-back lunch or a lively dinner with friends, their diverse menu has something to please every palate. And with a commitment to quality and a passion for innovation, they invite you to savor the unique flavor of Huntsville's craft beer scene at the Brewers Cooperative.
There's one good thing about this past weekend, and that's Oktoberfest. Bandy, I took what your mom said to heart. I went to Coleman. I enjoyed some Oktoberfest. It was absolutely amazing. Outside of the fact that I got to see a lot of Alabama fans hyped up for their team to win, just to hear them just sighing while they were watching it on their phones. And I was actually one of those. And then on top of that, all the Tennessee and all Auburn fans that were hyped up for their games as well, they also ended up losing.
So true story. I had to. I was working a volleyball match for UAH during the Auburn and Bama game.
Good for you.
And I was the scorekeeper beside me is a huge Bama fan, and so I'm looking at her and I was like, Vanderbilt is up 20-7 on Alabama, and she goes, Psh, I ain't worried about my boys.
That's what I'm saying.
And then got to half, and I was like, it was what I think it was 23-14, and I said Vanderbilt's up at the half, 23-14. She's like, see, I told you not to worry. Wait, did you say 14? I said, yeah, 23-14. She's like, oh, God, I thought you said 24-23. It's like, nope, 23-14. She said, no, I'm fine.
I'm pretty sure that's how everybody felt.
I'm fine. I'm like, are you sure you're fine?
And then Vanderbilt kept scoring. And that's when it was getting
to
a concerning part. Either way, we're going to hop right into the phone lines before we get out of here. Of course, 256-5764.
97.7
is the number to get in. Strawberry, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good.
Good to hear from you.
I keep hearing everybody, first off, go Big Orange. Lose the game, whatever.
It happens.
I keep hearing everybody beat up on Malachi Moore or whatever. And I'm not going to defend what he did. But Nick Saban wouldn't have done nothing about this other than maybe do a better job of getting him off the field when he saw the frustration.
Yeah.
Jermaine Burton in 2022 punched the girl in the face, leaving the field, and he played 7 days later.
Yeah, he did. And I think the worst from Saban was that he was provoked, if I remember that correctly.
Right. He said they were all scared.
Oh, terrified.
I
mean, she weighed $1.05.
Well,
Absolutely.
and I get that, like all the fans on you. Like, I think it was Amari Thomas, but it could have been somebody. I think it was Amari Thomas from Tennessee this last weekend. Pushed a frat boy or some dude like 6 feet onto his butt. But of course, he's already gone on the internet, apologized, everything else. Something Jermaine Burton never did. But that's what happens. That's why these schools get fined for this. It's amazing to me. You can tell how much Arkansas and Vanderbilt lose because they're all over the internet. Like, why did we get fined for winning? Like,
that's what happens, man.
You didn't get fined for whining. You stormed the field.
I will also applaud the state trooper that went over to Milton and said, "Hey, look, this is not Milton, but yeah, it goes over and says, hey, look, this is what is about to happen, Jalen. This is where you're going. This is what we're going to do." Because everybody that was the state troopers and everybody that was on Alabama's side is like, look, they're about to rush the field. Yeah. So Jalen, here's what we're going to do. We're getting you this direction. He was already laying the game plan out for Milroe so that Milroe knew this is where you're going to go so that nothing happens.
Yeah, I saw that. And that was a Tennessee state trooper that went over and did that.
Yeah, I mean, he was making sure we've got to play it.
Yeah, I just don't the whole like people like wanting to gang up, and I think a lot of that's new coach and everything. The only thing I would have said that Saban would have done different in that situation is he may have recognized the frustration on the field and went ahead and pulled the guys, right, or the right strings there. That's the only difference I see in that. I'm not saying Saban would have lost or anything like that, obviously, but
well, he never did.
Not
against Vandy.
Yeah, he didn't, but he did lose Louisiana Monroe to start off with. So
it's true.
And Vandy's a different team, right?
Vandy's
not. They're a totally different team playing team ball, and they felt like they were being disrespected coming in. And that dude's a baller.
Yeah,
the quarterback.
Pavi's good, man. Appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, sorry about that. We're only got 30 seconds left.
Good stuff by Strawberry. Hope to hear from him again. It's just a fun name to say. Yeah, I agree with him. I think Nick Saban would have probably figured it out a little bit quicker.
Well,
And also, Kalen DeBoer, again, he's just now getting into things with this team. He's going to get to the point where he's going to know that I have full control. I'm going to make sure this guy's out before anything like that gets crazy. Either way, Tom Abraham going to be coming up at 12. Look forward to that with Joe, as well as a little bit of Monday Night Football here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's the dawning of a new age in Tuscaloosa.
I understand what Alabama football is all about.